Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter.
Salim-Sulaiman Merchant, it's good to see you guys.
Thank you.
I know that you've been very busy. Both of you have been very busy during lockdown. I know that you finally realized your long-nurtured dream of establishing your own label, which is, of course, Merchant Records. I know that you composed a whole bunch of songs during lockdown. But and we will talk about all of those things, but I want to start by talking about a film that completes 10 years this week. This is Band Baaja Baaraat, which y'all, of course, gave the music for. And that was extraordinary music, Tarkeebein, also Aadha Sach. But of course, the song that went on to become the chart buster was Aimee Aimee. That became the song that really everyone was humming. I want to ask you, how do you look back at working at that album? Is there a story behind that song? What are your memories of making that album?
Oh, we have some very crazy stories about Heavy Heavy Lut Gaya. The setting was true. The setting was what it was, and they said we want a song which is it has to have a little bit of Punjabi. It has to be modern. It has to be a song that instantly appeals. And so we were working, and we made Heavy Heavy Lut Gaya. But after we played the song, we had recorded, means we'd done the basic setup and everything, and we played the song to the director, and he said, "Yaar, gaane mein maza nahi aa raha hai." I said, "Hurry, I can smell a hit when I produce a song. I know I can smell a hit, and I can know that this one is going to be a big one." So I said, "Tell me what's wrong with this." तो बोलता है, यार वो मेरा हीरो है ना, वो गिटार लेके आ रहा है, तो गिटार नहीं है उसमें, और वो गाने में जम नहीं रहा है, मुझे मजा नहीं आ रहा है. Something like that, he was trying to find excuses. So we said, ठीक है, चलो इसको रख देते हैं, and we went on doing all the other songs. We finished Aadha Ishq, we finished all the other songs, and then we finally came back to this, and I said, एक काम करते हैं, आदित्य चोपड़ा को भी बुला लेते हैं. He's the producer of the film, so let's get him also. Let's get his reaction. So he came, he heard the song. Then he asked the director, क्या हुआ? तो बोलते यार मजा नहीं आ रहा है. So he said, तू क्या पागल हो गया है? This is the song of the year. This is the song that's going to take the film ahead. And so he said, नहीं यार, लेकिन इसके अंदर गिटार नहीं है. So we said, चलो, you know what? In the beginning, we'll add a guitar. In the middle also, we'll add a guitar. And we added a guitar, and the song became what it is. And then we tried, I think we tried about 8 or 9 different singers. Salim had sung the original bit for it. And we tried all different singers. And, at the end of the day, Adi turned around and said that, boss, Salim, tu gale, because you have that youthful voice, you have that youthful energy. I don't think anybody else can give this kind of justice to the song.
Salim, how do you remember it?
Honestly, the story, Sulaiman said one part of the story. The second part of the story of the song was while we were working on this film, I remember going to Delhi, and Sulaiman was with me in the car, and we went to Delhi, and we walked out of the airport, we jumped in the car, and the driver was speaking really loudly with somebody on the phone. Kya tu aime hi bol raha hai? And that's the first time I heard that word. See, we living in Mumbai, we don't listen. I don't hear that. I hadn't heard that word before. Talking about 10 years ago, I hadn't heard the word Aimee.
Correct.
So I got really curious. Yaar, ye kya kisse? And he said it 3-4 times. Ki, Arey, choda Aimee mat bol. Aimee, and that's the first time I heard it. And then the same day, we were going for a press conference. The same day, I heard the same word again at the press conference. With someone saying, "Chod yaar, Aimee." So I'm like, "Oh shit, this is a beautiful word." And then we had this melody. It was a very Band Baaja Baaraat kind of a song. It was a very Band Baaja Baaraat tune. It had a little folk element in it. It had a Punjabi element in it. And I just put the hook together with "Ho main to heavy, 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 heavy lut gaya. Ho main to heavy, 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 heavy lut gaya. Ho main to heavy, heavy. Ho main to." Just started playing with this word, and it was somehow seemed very fun and very playful, and so I had sung it like that. I had not thought of kind of making it Punjabi. but somehow we started working with a lot of Punjabi singers. Like I called Master Salim. Got a folk kind of a voice. We used a couple of other singers, and Aditya Chopra one day came up to me and said, "Yeah, look, it's my hero. It's his first film, Ranveer. It was Ranveer's first film. Maybe hero ki pehli picture hai, and I want a very cool young. I know it's a Punjabi type of song, but we don't really need a Punjabi big voice. You don't need like a Gurdas Man or like a like a big voice, or Daler Mehndi kind of. You need a cool young voice to sing a Punjabi kind of song. Try that." So I said, I mean, I was open. He said, "Arey Salim, tu hi gaa le yaar. You've sung it well. You tried out." So I said, "Okay, cool." I had sung it like a rock song. I had not sung it like a Punjabi song. But then, I tried to put in a little Punjabiyat in it, and the combo really worked, I guess. I mean, everyone was very supportive. I was in two minds because when we compose a song, I'm the last person to sing it. Like I wanted to take it to the next level by some other singer.
Right.
But so that's always my thing. But I guess support from Sulaiman and the director and the producer and everyone.
But I remember when the promos came out, very often in a lot of films, the hero becomes the entry into the film. You watch because you want to see this hero's music or this hero's film. This was the song that became the entry to the film. A lot of people, I mean, the hero, in fact, everyone was, who's this guy? But it was that song that kind of made everyone go, that's the film we want to watch. I mean, and it's so beautiful because that music, all of the songs and the film, they've both actually aged really well. I just watched it a few days ago and it's beautiful how nicely the film has aged. So I know. Yeah.
Sorry, Rajeev. Sorry to stop you here, but there's a very cool thing that had happened, and this is also the story because Manish. It was Manish's first film, Manish Sharma's first film, and he was a little hesitant. He wasn't sure about this song, because it had a Tumbi and it had a Punjabi vibe to it, but it had a little drum and bass breakbeat kind of a groove, and he was like, "Yaar, ye शादियों में कहाँ बजता है यार?" I'm like, I told him, Manish, शादियों में छोड़ जो शादियों की आफ्टर पार्टीज होती है ना उसमें ये बचता है. And I used to in Delhi and all, I used to hang out with my friends like medieval pundits and all that, and they used to play this very drum and bass breakbeat kind of music with Indian elements, with this very Asian dub foundation sort of thing. And I was like, wow, I like this vibe. Let's put this in. It'll be sort of a newer cooler vibe to the Shadi Sangeet kind of music. And Band Baaja Baaraat, it's a typical Delhi Shadi ka film, but we wanted a cooler new vibe, and this is what people were listening to at that point 10 years ago in after parties.
Right.
I mean, they would listen to Daler Mehndi, they would listen to all that Punjabi stuff in the weddings, in the Sangeet, but the after parties had all this cool stuff. So I was like, let's make the music for that cool stuff.
Tell me, do y'all, the two of you, because y'all work together, Salim and Sulaiman, is your instinct for music very similar? Has there been a song where y'all have had completely opposite reactions?
Oh, many.
Yeah.
Many. But then what happens there, Rajeev, is that we don't present it to the filmmaker till we both agree.
Okay. Right.
So like, for instance, Chak De India was the best example. We made one song which we both liked, but the producer director didn't like. And after that, we made so many versions which we sort of both mutually disagreed. As in, I liked it and he didn't like, or he liked and I didn't like, and that kind of thing. Then finally we went with a version that we which was agreeable and sort of likable to everyone. It was quite a struggle, the title track. We got really badly stuck. And then the director, the producer, Aditya Chopra, told me that I want a sports anthem.
Yeah.
That when India plays hockey, cricket, chess, whatever sport, they should all sing. Everyone should sing.
Is that a lot of pressure? When a producer comes and tells you that, like, I want an anthem. I want the song that's going to be the last word in any sort of competition and any kind of motivational, upbeat. I mean, is that a lot of responsibility?
I call it anthem sanskar. I really call it. It's such a tough thing because every time you make an anthem, it has to be like it has to be like God's word. Like, I mean, hello, it doesn't work like that, And for Chak De, it became a massive pressure because first of all, Shah Rukh Khan. Secondly, it was a sports film. It had, it was Yash Raj, and it has so much of that baggage, and it was a great film. It was written,
and plus it was an underdog film. It wasn't like a film where you had a hero right from the beginning.
Yeah,
you had an underdog hero, so you had to give him the enhancement
Yeah.
but also make sure that you're not enhancing him into a superhero.
So
So
much
it was a very
expectation.
subtle.
Yeah. And towards the end, you know, towards the end when we were like just done with like making so many versions, Aditya Chopra told me that I want a Jumma Chumma. And he started singing like Chak De India. Chak De India, India, Jumma Chumma De. He started singing that. And I was like, oh my God, like how are we going to make this sports anthem like Jumma Chumma? He said, I want the world to sing it. I don't know how you do it. We were so closed and we were so shattered. I called Jaideep. I said, Bhai, tu aaja studio mein. Why don't you write? Let's work on lyrics. And then and I told him, yaar, kuch karte, you know, when you write, things will happen, kuch karte. So he actually wrote that, kuch kariye. He wrote kuch kariye.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, that's a decent start. Kuch
That-
kariye. And I told him, let's repeat it, you know, and it was literally like, I mean, kuch kariye, nas nas meri khole, hi kuch kariye. It just started like that, and I'm like, oh wow, this is getting somewhere. It's getting, and Sulaiman started adding some beats, and it just started adding some grooves and stuff like that, and you know, and Jaideep started penning, and I told him like, let's keep repeating kuch kariye, kuch kariye, kuch kariye.
that.
And it just worked out. And then towards the end, ooh, Chak De India. It just like soared to that level. And then that same evening, I called Sukhwinder, and he was free, and he came out, and
And a
that's it.
chartbuster was born.
It just happened in a day. We were struggling for a month.
It doesn't feel like y'all are doing a lot of film work these days. Is that an accurate observation?
That's an perfect observation. There are many reasons for it. I think we are definitely very, very choosy about our projects. We like to do movies which have some kind of like storyline and some kind of scope for music. Second thing is I'm going to be very straight up, Rajiv. There's nothing to. Second one is like we really don't like these multiple composer situations, you know, because
Right.
it's not like it's not a movie that has 30 songs or 20 songs or whatever, and you're doing like 7 and someone else is doing 7 and whatever. A movie has barely 3.5 songs, and these days. And then I mean, like we've done so many movies with so many songs and whatever that I feel like we should be entitled to do the entire film so that we own it in spirit.
Right.
You know, the entire spirit of, and we are cinema people. We are not, you know, our repertoire. We've done so many background scores, and we really dive into the spirit of the film and the characters. And just by doing one song, it doesn't satisfy us. Yeah, it's not. We don't do it to like kind of put a stamp of Salim-Sulaiman on a movie. No, we do it because we are really passionate about the movie, about the films. And fortunately, the films we've done, some have worked, some have not. But the music has always worked. Like Kurban, for instance, film didn't do that well as we expected to. But all the songs have still made a great mark in the you know, in the industry and in the audience. So
Does this attitude come off as high-handed when you're saying no to filmmakers? Are they able to get the point?
No, they get it, and they get it really well. Because like, I mean, for instance, I was offered to do Lucknow Central, and you know, Nikhil's a friend, and you know, he came up to me, said, "Yaar Salim, we want you guys to do the movie, but ek gana meko bahut pasand hai. I really like this song, you know, which someone else has done." So I said, "Yeah, it's okay. We'll do another movie together. You know, it's fine. I mean, yeah, we have certain principles. If I start like, you know, breaking this for you, then I'll have to do this for everyone."
Correct.
The third thing, Rajiv, is like every film now has a remake of some song, and Sulaiman and me are absolutely against this. You know, we just don't like this remake story. It's like it's getting to me right now. I mean, don't we have enough composers and creative juices to like make new songs?
Correct.
Why do you have to? And it's okay if there's a purpose. Like if Delhi 6, if Abhishek Bachchan and Sonam Kapoor, that story of went on to Delhi 7, and you put in a Masak Ali in Delhi 7, it still made sense. But randomly putting a, you know, Masak Ali in some random film without any purpose, like it just doesn't make sense. So we had to like take that call, like, you know.
How do you not get into trouble for saying those things?
We are already in trouble, so it doesn't
What am
matter.
I saying wrong, Rajiv? I'm not saying
It's
anything
true.
wrong. I'm
Correct.
not saying anything wrong. I'm sure everybody agrees. And if somebody doesn't, then it's too bad. But
No,
like,
the other thing is there's so many more avenues now. It's not just films.
yeah,
I mean, sure, films is huge and all of that, but if you catch the pulse of the youngsters now, most of the people I know at least, or a lot of people that we all know, have moved on from just watching films to digital,
Yeah.
to watching Netflix and Amazon and all. And there's a lot of content, good content. I'm not saying just content, good content that's being generated over there. So, I'd rather spend my energies on good content, make sure that that song really does see some kind of uh, good appreciation for it, rather than getting into a song or getting into a film which comes after a remake, and it just doesn't, it doesn't give you that kind of high, it doesn't give you that kind of
and,
joy, nor
and
does it give you that passion.
I'm going to just butt in here, and I'm going to say that, having said that, last year was pretty decent because we did a movie which was very meaningful to us, which was also Rishiji's last film, Rishi Kapoorji's last film. It was 102 Not Out with Mr. Bachchan and Rishi Kapoor. It was a matured story about a father and son, and we really kind of connected to that film. So it is important to do decent cinema, good cinema that you connect with. Also, we are not like also. I mean, we've also spent a lot of time doing all kinds of movies. So now to get something on your plate which is challenging you to make different music is important. Also, it gave us time to reflect upon our own internal energies to create our own album. I promise you, if we were working in the films scene regularly as we did in the last 5-7 years, we would have not been able to come out with our most ambitious project, Bhumi. Never would have we been able to think of that. So I'm really happy that we managed to create that. Apart from that, we created a musical called Umrao Jan. I always wanted to create a theatrical musical, and we produced it. We did the music for it, and we went to West End with it, and we made a lot of noise. There was a lot of hard work. We spent 18 months creating this grand musical. All this, Rajiv, I would have not been able to do if I was doing cinema, because cinema comes with pressure. It
Yeah,
comes with
actually, that was going to be my question. I was going to say it just feels like there is so much pressure today to deliver just chartbusters. It just feels like that's the only, and numbers. Numbers used to be the pressure that films used to have. You have to do a big opening day. You have to do big, opening weekend. Now that pressure seems to be on the music. You have to have so many million views. So many YouTube views. I mean, with that kind of pressure, how is your creativity? I mean, I'm asking you, I don't know. I mean, how do you have the freedom to, am I right?
No, you don't. You don't have creativity, and you don't
Exactly.
have freedom. You get a diktat saying, ये last गाना 50 million views हुए हैं, अभी next गाना ऐसे ही बनाओ और मुझे 70 million views चाहिए. And that is how everything is working right now. And we are not in that race to really enjoy, because there is Lakshmi and there's Saraswati, right?
Correct.
When you have Lakshmi, you can't have Saraswati. And when you have Saraswati, you can't have Lakshmi. So if you can balance both of them, then it works out right.
But listen,
And
but then when you do a song like Date Kar Le with Carrie Minati, who's a very popular YouTuber, I mean, isn't that the objective of that? Like, we want this to be watched by everyone. We want this to get like, a billion, gazillion views.
Yeah, so good, very good twist, Rajiv. Date Karle was a song which we had made, some time back, and we were hoping to release it. We were trying to make it into a movie, and then as in like bring it into a film. But then we realized that we are not doing that much of like hardcore commercial cinema. If people who are doing hardcore commercial cinema, they just don't come to us anymore. People who do art cinema are like calling us, which is fine, which is
It's a
great.
good reputation to have. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very good. It's very good. But we had this song in our, in our system for the past couple of years, and we thought it would be nice to sort of bring it out. But this whole year has been a little sort of dull, and we thought we wanted to like kick in this party season, this festival season with some big song. And I didn't even know that Carrie Minati is this massive YouTuber. I called my friend Raftar because we thought we'll put in a rap in this Punjabi funk trap song. And I called Raftar. He said कि भैया आप एक काम करो, ये बहुत अच्छा बंदा है, Carry Minati, मेरा दोस्त है, Ajay Nagar उसका नाम है. So I said, okay, cool. Like, he gave me his number. I called him and he replied instantly. And that next day he sent me a rap with the track. I'm like, wow, this guy's so good and he's so professional. And how come I've not heard of him? Then I researched him. I'm like, my God, this guy is like some crazy 25 million subscribers or 26. I don't know how many now. He's a crazy gamer, streamer, blah, blah, blah. But he just seemed like a great guy. I mean, he was like giving us a lot of massive respect and, very chilled out, very cool, delivered his lines, did the recording, did the video. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's release it. I had no idea that. And we had this song, we had it in our system, like I said, like for the past 3-4 years. We wanted to release it on our label, which is now really growing very, very strongly. So I said, like, why, may as well put it out, because I'm not going to wait for a movie or anything. It's a very film kind of a song.
Right.
But we said, we may as well release it on today, that whole thing of independent and film music, it's a very thin, fine line. They're both bleeding into each other. So we may as well just bang it in a big way, and that's it.
When you established this label, when you announced it, Merchant Records, I read that you said that in explaining one of the key reasons that you decided to set it up, you said the vision is to create a platform for artists to be able to release their music without being bound in contracts that would take away their most basic rights. It sounds like y'all have become cynical about the way that the business had become. Can you talk about that and how y'all are hoping to do it differently?
A big problem with the labels is, and I don't blame them, is that, this like eating into their live revenue, signing artists, eating into their live revenues, and, kind of like getting into making sure that this artists are signed and like attached to the label in such a way that they can't work with X people and they can't work with Y people, and that all that stuff. I mean, we as musicians are very, very free, and we want our artist, whoever collaborates with us, whoever comes, also to be free. Music should be like a freedom of expression. You can't be binding people. I understand the business thing, that you have to run a business and you have to, whatever. But I think everything, when you have this whole thing of giving, you automatically get. And that's the spirit of what we've had. We've had the spirit of creating a label with a lot of these amazing young artists who are, creatively pretty amazing in what they do, come and, sort of make music without any ceiling, without any pressures, without anything of signing contracts and getting bound by anything. Before they start their careers, they have to go to a lawyer and start showing their agreements and all. I'm like, no, you come, if we like your song, we will release it. We will give you all the push. We will give you the love that it requires. But Sulaiman will tell you what the other side of it was.
So, the other bit about this is, when you go to a label and let's say you're signing a film, the first thing they'll say is, all rights belong to us, all kinds of compositional rights, all artistic rights, all moral rights, all I'm the first owner of copyright. When you hear all these things and when you see these terms, you feel like, why are you making a song? Yeah? Why do you need to make a song? There is, some kind of a decent way of writing things, of saying that we understand that you are the composer. There is nothing of that. It's just, everything belongs to us. You're working for us. And I hate those kind of agreements and I hate those kind of contracts. And so we started thinking, yeah, boss, something has to change in this whole ecosystem. There has to be some kind of change where there is justification for what you're doing, and there is respect for an artistic person for whatever he's doing. He could be just playing the flute, but there has to be respect for him. There has to be respect for the composer, the singer, the lyric writer. And so that was one of the basic thoughts behind creating a label which is open for everybody, which does not bind you down, which does not give you that respect that you deserve. And we started from there. Now let's see where it goes.
And Rajeev, the biggest problem is like, there is always that pressure of let's make a hit song. Let's make a love song. Let's make a heartbreak song. Why are people thinking of these genres and numbers? Like, why has data become such a big thing? People are not thinking. I mean, anybody who composes like a classical thumri or like a ghazal or something which is deep and meaningful with good music, with like a nice melody and good lyrics and a lovely voice, is just like, trashed.
Yeah.
Like there's no love and respect for it. It's just like, shit, this is not happening.
It's funny how many singers I spoke to during the last few months who said that because they've had this time to reflect and because they don't get to make the songs and do the songs that they want to do. A lot of the Punjabi singers, I spoke to Jassi Gill, to Gippy, I mean, all of these guys were talking about how they've used this time to create all the kind of music that the commercial industry won't allow them to do.
And so, and everybody just complains. I thought, like, instead of just complaining, let's just be that change.
Right.
Let's not try that. Let's not look for that change or wait for that change. Let's be that change.
So y'all did a bunch of singles under the label, and now of course it's Bhumi 2020. You've called it a movement, not just an album. You've said it's your most ambitious project. There are 7 tracks featuring some of the best artists from India. So what can one expect? I know that 2 songs have already been released, and each week you're going to release a new track from the 7 tracks. Why was this something you were raring to do, and what satisfaction has it brought you that perhaps you didn't have doing whatever you were doing before?
We both have studied Indian classical music and Western classical music. 20 years back, we did an album called Bhumi, which was basically folk songs of India, which we sort of interpreted in a very contemporary way. And we got the opportunity to mix that at Peter Gabriel's studio in 1999. And in 2000, we had released it. And, doing this whole thing of films and advertising and all kinds of, TV and everything. 2 years ago, we did a song with Sukhwinder, which just happened just like that, like over chai. We were having tea and he came to the studio and, he sort of sang some bandish, which is a 100-year-old bandish by Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab. And, it's called Multani Kafi, and he sang it, and, it reminded me of my childhood. And Sulaiman and me got together and we made this song, and, we sort of reinterpreted our own way. It turned out to be so surreal. I cannot explain. And that's where I felt like there was a calling. It felt like our roots were calling us back again. Our music was calling us back again. That 20-year-old Bhumi album, which we had done 20 years ago before our film career went bananas, that was calling us. And Sulaiman and me decided to take this as a movement and make this into a 7-song album. And we thought we'll collaborate with some of the finest singers in India. Not all of them. There's so many of them. We had to stop at 7 because of 7 days, Saat Sur, 7 heavens, 7 colors in the rainbow, and all kinds of things. So we stopped at 7. Had a song for Shreya Ghoshal, had a song for Arijit Singh, had a song for Kaushiki Chakravarti, had a song with Salman Ali, Vipul Mehta, and it's like a Qawwali, which has me as well in it as a singer. We had one with Osman Mir because he comes from Kutch, where our ancestors come from, and one with Jonita and Swaroop Khan. So 7 different colors, and we felt like, this is an album which is not just an album, but it'll be a movement. Because we want to do a Bhumi 21, and we want to do a Bhumi 22, and we want to continue this as a movement to have good musicians, good singers come together under the same umbrella and create something spectacular.
How lovely! It sounds like it's I think part of the excitement is the place from where it was born. I mean,
yeah.
Also, and correct me if I'm wrong. I talk to musicians, I talk to composers. And what you just said about Sukhwinder coming in and you're just jamming and something was born out of that. It feels like that doesn't happen a lot these days just because there's just so much pressure. Everyone's on a deadline. You're only in the studio for so many hours or so many minutes because you have to deliver a track. And that doesn't happen. And that just sounds magical that became the birthplace of or the birthing idea for this album. How incredible.
It's not just that. What has happened is during lockdown, there's been so much time for every single artist to reflect and to think back and say, boss, I think I was stuck in a rut and maybe it's time to move out a little bit and explore different avenues. We don't know when the film industry is going to kickstart and jump back into the same kind of groove that it was in. maybe it's time to also explore different avenues and do something creatively different.
But you are actually expanding, aren't you? I mean, you're sort of expanding your own role and your own identity, because you'll produce the Karsh Kale documentary, which is rock disco tabla, which I can't wait to see. It won 2 awards at the Golden Gate International Film Festival. This is, of course, the documentary on Karsh Kale, who's this Maharashtrian but New York raised tabla player come drummer who sounds absolutely incredible. I know that you all have collaborated with him. You'll also have launched your own fashion line. So now we can buy t-shirts that say Chak De India or Shukran Allah or Dance Pe Chance.
That's right.
Do you all see yourselves as more than just musicians?
And you have to keep expanding, right?
Mm.
You have to grow. And when you have a record label, you have to grow in that scale. You can't just be the creative person. Somebody has to also be an A&R who's looking at artists. Somebody also has to do accounts. Somebody also has to look at expanding it in a different, in a wider, making it wider. So Merchant Records has that kind of a plan. We are looking at a growth this way and this way, rather than just, upwards. We are not looking at only upwards. We are looking at expanding this way also.
Yeah, it's time to give back to fans. It's time to give back some happiness to the world in terms of good music. Sometimes that may not work, in terms of commerce and money, but everything cannot be just money. You have to, as an artist, you have to try to think of art, and like Sulaiman said, you continue following Saraswati and Lakshmi will follow. Yeah. You start thinking about Lakshmi only and then it's like game over, so it's time for us to really look deeply inside us, because the whole universe is inside us right now. Only if you reflect upon it and sort of explore and spread the love. It's really that time.
Thank you to both of you. More power. Can't wait to see what you do next. I will be up Monday morning to listen to the next track from Bhumi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajeev.
Thank you, Rajeev.
Thank you so much.